Okay, hey, doing things a tad differently today for multiple reasons. We'll get into it. A, trying to get the audio to work while riding. I thought I had it figured out yesterday, and it didn't work worth a shit. Oh no, I forgot my gloves. Need gloves. And B, don't know if you can tell or not. Squeak! We're on a different bike. We're on a bike, not an e-bike. E-bike is at the duck, being taken care of. I'm playing with camera angles here. Hopefully able to pick it up today for a big ride tomorrow. And oh, hey, welcome to Riding Every Day. Today's Friday, July 12th. I'll talk about some of the stuff I tried to talk about yesterday, but just the wind noise overrode it. I thought it was going to work because the audio from my ride with Brad the other day wasn't too terrible, but I wasn't specifically recording audio, so I wasn't doing any voiceover. So I tried to do a voiceover ride yesterday, and it just did not work. So we're trying plan B. We're at the Fort Worth Trinity Trails, and this is a spot I like a lot for parking. Very easy access from I-35. Definitely less than 30 minutes from my house if it's not rush hour. I mean, I left the house at 10 after 8, so, you know. Which way? I'm going to go this way. We'll talk about it some. Let's start the ride. All right, we're officially riding now. So, less than 30 minutes from my house, closer to 20. And good parking with a porta-john and a water fountain. And other spots I've parked at, I think, are less secure than this one. Actually, well, I don't know for sure that this one's overly secure. I have not seen any signs of issues here. I've been using this one for about a year. But other spots I've parked at, car has been broken into and windows broken and all that good stuff. But hey, that's part of it, right? So we are on my Rebel El Jefe today, seeing how just a good old-fashioned Kevin-powered bike works today. And I'm gonna really focus on not stressing the knees. I'm gonna try to keep my heart rate up where I want it, around 130ish after warm-up. And maybe 90 minutes of riding. I don't know. I don't have a specific plan yet. Main plan is really just to try out the audio. My wireless mic from another camera that I figured out works with this camera. And hopefully it cuts down the wind noise tremendously. And if you're not familiar with the Fort Worth Trinity Trails, it's fantastic riding. And I'm on paved trail right now, but the vast majority of the Fort Worth trails have gravel right next to the paved trails. And don't ask me the exact mileage. And that's why we didn't use that one. There's a gate there. I think the next unpaved section we come across, we can hop on that. Or you can just ride the paved trails. That's probably what I should. I'll do that while I'm recording audio. Maybe get some video footage with the unpaved stuff. But Fort Worth Trinity Trails are a fantastic resource for riding as much as you want to, pretty much any time. And it's all weather as well. So I have definitely ridden this stuff in the pouring rain, obviously immediately after rains. And even the unpaved stuff in the pouring rain is quite doable. going to do a proper warm-up here. So the main subject I wanted to talk about in this video, hopefully, oh, tell you what, here's some dirt. Let's do it. Let's collect some footage, and we'll see how we're testing the audio now. I don't expect this to make the audio cut, but we'll play with it. And we're also playing with the battery on the camera. I'm just going to run this continuously and try to ride for an hour and a half and see how close to that hour and a half this battery goes. We're trying out this slightly different camera mount as well. Hoping to get things dialed in for y'all as much as is viable, but still make it where it's not an overwhelming slog of an editing chore for me to put stuff together on the fly. Up to 113 on the heart rate. And so yeah, seeing how a non-e-bike works with my knees, and definitely going to focus on not overstressing the knees. That's part of why I'm not sure what I am or am not riding today. I mean, for the most part, you can stay up here and it's pretty flat, pretty level. There's a couple of river crossings that you have to climb out of, or you can go up on the levees and throw a touch of climbing in here and there, but I'm pretty confident that will overstress my knees. I know I sound like I'm whining about it. I've gotten caught up in it before. I like riding my bike, and last time I went to get trained up, basically I overstressed my knees, and they were out of commission for months. Took me off the bike for a long time. I'm definitely trying to stay away from that. Because, yeah, if you're injured and down, it kind of gets in the way of riding every day. And that was supposed to be the topic of this video that I did the voiceover yesterday on a fairly casual ride. And yesterday was kind of sort of a recovery day from a knees aspect, not from a heart rate training aspect. Knees were feeling a tad tired yesterday, so I dialed up the wattage on the e-bike and really easy pedaling, but in the heat of the day for heat acclimation purposes. You know, stayed pretty close to my target heart rate. Morning. Alright, camera's slipping a little bit. Let's work on that. We're in the shade, so this is a good time to work on that. And so that's part of the testing process. Alright, so it slipped at this clamp. And I'm on a rigid fork. Torqued that down a little more. Alright. Lost track of where I was, sorry. Rider up. Coming zipping down the hill. We'll let them do their thing. Morning. Nobody says good morning except me. Why so serious? So, I mean, this is the Trinity Trails. Check it out. This is fantastic riding. It's fantastic training. Yesterday's ride, again, was trying to make sure I wasn't overstressing the knees with every day of riding like I've done. I think that's where I was. It's kind of hard to ride every day when you're down and out. So I'm definitely being very proactive towards that this time around. very cognizant of how my knees are feeling, and very cognizant of allowing overall training time to build things up. But again, I think that's the benefit of the e-bike. I'm not the type of guy that can just ride my bike 15 minutes a day for 6 weeks and then up it to 20 minutes a day for 6 weeks. I want to do my 2, 3, 4 hour rides, and I think I need to build up the support structures around the knees to get there, and the e-bike allows me to do that. That's the game plan anyway. But hey, the e-bike's not here today, and the whole point of the e-bike is to get me trained up to ride this beautiful beast full time for miles and miles and miles and days on end. And I hadn't been on this thing in a while. It's like, hey, well, we need to try out the new microphone. We need to try out the new camera position. So let's see how the knees do on a real bike. It's early, but so far fine. Probably what I'll do, chat with y'all for 20 or 30 minutes. Just keep it down around 110 to 115 on the heart rate. And then I'll ride my ride around 130 for another hour or so. Kind of what I'm thinking. The subject of yesterday's voiceover, which is hopefully working for today's voiceover, is, well, it was kind of two subjects, touching on heat acclimation, which we'll get into. This isn't going to be a deep dive into it. Definitely a hurdle of mine I need to overcome. The other is riding every day. Get creative on finding ways to ride every day. By that I mean put yourself in a position that you can carve out riding time every day one way or another. Definitely the easy way to do that is with indoor trainer, smart bike, whatever your preferred tool may be. Zwift has come out with a very cool new platform called Zwift Ride, which is a Wahoo Kicker smart trainer with a dedicated Zwift indoor frame, very similar to the concept of a smart bike, but at a tremendously lower cost, like $1,300 for the trainer and the frame. And it looks like a really cool setup. It's basically what you used to pay for a smart trainer alone. And this has got a dedicated bike frame that's fully adjustable, so you don't have to swap the bike off and on or change bikes if other people in the house are using it, that sort of thing. Dial it down a little bit. Heart rate would get up just a touch. The caveat on the Zwift Ride is it only works with Zwift at the moment. And at the moment, you can only get the full package. You have to get the trainer and the bike. So if you already have a Wahoo Kicker, for example, you can't get just the frame. I expect that'll change down the road, but for somebody that has nothing, that's definitely a click and go, one-stop shop type situation. So there's the river crossing I was talking about. It's not crazy climbing, but it is definitely a noticeable climb. And I'm not sure If I was on the e-bike, not a problem at all. I think I'm going to try to stay flat and level with the knees today. We'll see how it goes. Just because I haven't ridden a regular bike in a while, so I don't know what the after effects may or may not be. So we'll take it easy. There's an man, and I can't remember it. I looked him up after I talked about it yesterday too, and I should be able to remember it. There's another company that has a bike frame only that's coming out in October. They have their prototype out. There's a YouTube video. I'll link it in the notes. And it's just the bike that you can put on any trainer, and it works on any software platform. So that part of it's really cool, and it's much more customizable on the component end of things. You can get just the frame and buy your own and use whatever cranks, seat post, bars, and everything that you want to with it to as closely replicate your existing setup as possible. Or they have different levels. They have what they call a complete frame. It's basically a single speed setup, but the single speed will work with the Zwift virtual shifting. I'm assuming it will work with virtual shifting on the other platforms that have that as well. And then they also have a GRX build that you can get that includes the cassette and the derailleur and the brifters and everything like that. So from the indoor standpoint, there's options out there that there didn't used to be, and that's really cool. I've always been a big proponent of the indoor option to get your ride every day in. If it's pouring rain, if there's a hurricane out there, if it's 128 degrees, if it's ice, snow, whatever, or just I can only squeeze 45 minutes right now to get in a ride, you go to the Pain Cave, hop on the bike and do it. I think it's the best option for most people, and I definitely recognize that not everyone has that ability or that capability. And I also highly recognize, yep, Mike's still there. Glad that it isn't falling off. I also highly recognize there's a significant audience out there that has zero interest in doing indoor training. So if it's not for you, I'm not telling you you have to do it. I'm just saying it's the most logical choice for many, many people. The next alternative that I'm a huge fan of, and it's really what the focus of today's discussion is supposed to be about, and what yesterday's discussion was supposed to be about, is getting creative and finding ways to ride every day. And I mean, the short story, the short take is take your bike with you everywhere you go, and have a way to do that safely and securely. If you're not comfortable parking your vehicle at work with a bike on the back all day long, if you have a van or an SUV, you might have to take the front wheel off, but you can usually stuff a bike in there and lock it down properly. Same with a pickup truck, 4-door pickup truck, usually. And I mean, if you're not able to do it with your main bike, for your riding everyday purposes, again, just getting in 45 to 60 minutes, maybe you go with a B bike, something that's easier to tear down or something like that. Maybe you go with a D bike, maybe an old bike you've had collecting dust in the garage for years that, well, what's the worst case scenario if it does get stolen? You haven't actually ridden the thing in 15 years. I mean, it would suck for anything to get stolen, don't get me wrong, but how big of a loss is that? I mean, sure, if I lose this bike to theft, that would suck. But I've got another bike or two in the garage that If they just happen to disappear, it I wouldn't be happy, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. No, I'm not trying to give them away either. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just saying. And coincidentally, one of them is technically my wife's bike, but I ride it more than her. So, always take your bike to work with you. That's obvious. But like my examples for myself, because my schedule is fairly flexible, particularly this time of year. Summer is definitely our slow time. It's a Friday morning where most people are at work in their cubicles or whatever, and I'm riding the Trinity trails. Obviously, I'm not the only one. When I come back, I'll do that section. Keep it smooth for the dialogue here. But good example is Wednesday when I went to work, air quotes, I'm not taking, come on by! See, there you go, there's an announcement. Come on! Another announcement. And that's how you do it, people. When you come up on the slow traffic in situations like this, announce yourself. And if you're being passed, don't get all defensive about it. My God. But I was going to work, again, air quotes, and then, hey, good thing I didn't take my hands off the bar there, right? Which was recording the Shiftless podcast over at Brad's house. And I, made a point that I really wanted to ride outdoors instead of indoors that day. So it's like, but yeah, I'll be honest with you, like today, packing up and coming down here, it's only 20 minutes or so that's a bonus. But it's not uncommon to have to drive 30 or 60 minutes to ride somewhere safe or just enjoyable or whatever. The ideal situation is just being able to ride out of your house. And that's a better situation for me now than it was a couple years ago. I'm getting that dialed in with the updates to the roads around. So that's nice. It was almost impossible for the past few years to do it safely. But, at least for me, doing the same thing every day gets tiresome. I like to mix it up. I definitely typically stay away from just packing up the bike and going somewhere just for the purposes of riding for a short ride, an hour and a half. To me, that's more trouble than it's worth. I'm hour and a half or 2 hours of traveling and packing and unpacking to get in 60 minutes of riding doesn't make a lot of sense for me. But if it works for you, more power to you. But if I'm going somewhere anyway, if I'm going to Brad's, if I'm going to work, if I'm going to a doctor's appointment or running an errand or whatever, if I have the bike with me, after work, after the appointment, when the errand's done, or maybe even before the errand, get in a quick ride, take care of business, because you've already got the travel time in, and more than likely, where you're traveling to gives you the opportunity to ride something not unusual, but change of pace, something different. So Wednesday, packed up the bike, went and recorded Shiftless with Brad and Justin. And let's see, how does this work? I'm gonna go out up top here and probably come back the other way. And I had a couple spots between Brad's house and mine picked out to ride my bike. Need to get a drink. There we go. The valve was being problematic there. There we go. Had a couple spots picked out to potentially ride from. A couple routes in mind. Coming home from Brad's. And coincidentally, beneficially, it actually worked out where Brad was free and he was planning to ride right after the recording as well. So we just rolled out of Brad's house for an hour, got a nice 14 miles in, and checked out some of my old stomping ground roads that I hadn't been on in a while. Hang out with my buddy Brad, and even threw in a little bit of adventure here and there. It's good. It was a good day on the bike. Yesterday I had an errand to run. Took the bike with me. Got to the where I was running my errand and rode first, and then took care of the errand. And well, the errand was actually going to world famous Mad Duck Cyclery in Grapevine, Texas, to have the e-bike checked on and a little bit of a 420 miles or so in tune-up, a little bit of cable stretch going on, a little bit of skipping in the shifting, but also we're throwing some new bits on the bike. We'll talk about that. I was planning on adding those bits later. They've been sitting in my office to add to the bike later, but I think they're going to be beneficial for these videos, so I went ahead and put them on. I really wanted to, we'll talk about it more in depth when I get the bike back and play with it a little bit with the new stuff. It's more for the multi-day and bike packing and super long day stuff. And I mean, just for riding around, regular daily riding, I was perfectly happy with the way the Tributary was set up stock. But I could tell it was going to be problematic for multi-day stuff, super long days. So I still have other things I need to work out for those things, but I also, I'm not just I'm gonna identify specifically where the shortcomings are and adjust from there. Not just, I think this isn't going to work. Maybe this will work better. For me, it works better to say this is exactly what this doesn't work. What is out there that doesn't have that same issue or conflict or whatever else. So that's where the Tributary is today. Supposed to get it back this afternoon and actually go out on a real deal ride tomorrow that I'm not putting together, that I'm just showing up as an attendee, and I'm looking pretty forward to that. All right, so here's the question. Do we try out the crossing? If we do it once, we have to do another one. Or do we just... no, I'm going to save my knees for tomorrow, because the ride tomorrow is the focus. So we're going to turn around. We're going to stay flat today and save any knee stress. So I think I'd gotten used to the suspension fork on the Tributary. This one's actually rigid. This one. Yeah, I was expecting a little bit of give there. Habits. Yeah, we're on a rigid NV fork on this one with big mountain bike tires though. This is I like this bike a lot. I really want to be able to make this be my primary weapon. Mike's still there. Morning. Fort Worth skyline over there, if we haven't shown it in the video before this spot. But yeah, the Trinity trails here are fantastic riding. And so, for the riding everyday purposes, this is kind of work. It's like, okay, I need to find an audio setup that works. So we're trying the audio setup, and definitely needed to try it outdoors because the wind noise yesterday was the big deal. Hopefully with this wind, with this dead cat, this wind muff on this one, hopefully it does the trick. We'll see. If not, we'll keep chipping away at it. I believe there's a wind noise setting for the camera itself. If this is still problematic, we'll try that. You can do the post-production noise reduction, but that typically only works in a studio environment where you're like at fixed audio levels and a fixed distance from the microphone, and like I'm turning my head and talking at different levels and things. And if it's heavy duty wind noise, trying to post-production remove that noise, it usually makes the dialogue all garbly. Homeless camp back there. Lots of trees down. Nothing like Houston though. Alright, so we're 30 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and notch up the output some and try not to say anything too super important, but we'll keep playing with the audio and recording, see how it works at higher exertion. So this is a great bike. Holy shit, this is a great bike. I'm sorry, I said that's an envy fork. That's actually a whiskey fork. We have an envy fork on the Chumba. That's what it is. Whiskey fork. Whiskey rear wheel. I need to get a whiskey front wheel for it. Alright, this will be a little bit of an incline. Let's see if we feel it in the knees. Definitely, yeah, feeling that. Not bad, but noticing it in the knees. Gearing down more. Yeah, the e-bike's the right tool for a little bit, but I think I can ride this for some of my shorter, flatter rides, which will be good. Now, this is a rarity on the Trinity trails, so you take advantage of it when you can. Probably the biggest shortcoming of riding Trinity trails is there is not much shade at all. It's almost all fully exposed. There's short sections here and there, but there's no miles of canopy or anything like that. But that's okay. That actually helps with the heat acclimation for me. I said we were going to touch on it, and we'll touch on it. So the rides this week, I am definitely trying to work on heat acclimation. That's one of my biggest stumbling blocks. I don't tolerate heat well at all. Never have. But had a really bad run-in with it at Dirty Cons in 2011, and I've always been worse since then. Trying out the aero bars. Haven't been in the aero setup in a while. See how this does, right? And since 2011, heat has just absolutely kicked my ass. So I'm trying to take a measured approach to get heat acclimated. Alright, so this time we are going to go this way, I think. Maybe we went this way already, but we're definitely doing it this time. Definitely trying to do a more measured approach to heat acclimation. But this is just, it's not a formal training plan per se. I mean, I'm doing it in a structured way, but I mean, it's not like I read a book, a paper, or watch an extensive YouTube video from a credible source that goes in depth on how to heat acclimate. If there's something out there like that, please comment. Let me know. I'd love to review it. But basically, I'm just trying to spend time in the heat in small doses and hopefully not overdo it and build up tolerance a little bit of time. But my shortcoming with that approach is I don't know if that's a 1 week process, 2 week process, 6 week process, or just a wasted effort process, to be honest with you. That said, I know I'm not going to put myself in a position to overdo it in the heat. That's another benefit of that e-bike for me right now, is if I go a little too deep in the heat, I just put the tributary in turbo mode, and even if I'm soft pedaling in turbo mode, I'm not sitting out in the heat for 2 hours to go 15 miles. I can still knock out that 15 miles in an hour or less at hardly any effort. So it's a little bit of safety net for the heat training as well. I mean, this ride I'm definitely not going to be, it's not that hot yet, but I mean, it ain't cold. Just to make it different going back than the way we came. Working a little bit of inclines into the mix, but nothing too serious. Oh man, this bike feels so good. I mean, by default, it's going to be my mountain bike. And it is a mountain bike frame with mountain bike wheels and tires, but again with the rigid fork. It's not a true mountain bike, but it'll be fine for the trails around here and the type of riding I do. Morning. Not going up the levee hill. No reason to do that. But, so, trying to heat acclimate. I've basically done it every day this week. I'm kind of going against plan a little bit. The plan, air quotes again, not taking hands off of the bar, was to do a hot day, do an indoor day, do a hot day, do an indoor day. And the reality is I did a hot day Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now Friday. But the Tuesday one was really casual. Actually, no, it wasn't. Now that it was pretty casual. It was a shorter day. Wednesday was the Brad day. That was a good workout at my target rate. A little bit shorter than I would have liked. I would have liked to pull an hour and a half, but not in the heat. So it worked out actually. So that was a good heat day, good heat training day. Yesterday was mostly a heat day, also about an hour. So I've been keeping the ride shorter in the heat, but definitely in the heat of the day sort of thing. This one's earlier in the day, so I'll do it a little bit longer, but staying at my heart rate. But starting to feel it, and that was that's part of what I talked about yesterday. So each of these rides for the first 30 minutes, like, this is doable, not a problem. It was like right at 30 minutes, even if I'm not killing it on these rides. I'm zone 2ing as much as is viable. 30 minutes is like, okay, it's warm out there. The other day we get to 40 minutes. Okay, it's a little warm out there. But the last few rides at 40 minutes, it was noticeably warmer. I wasn't getting wiped out or anything like that, but it was like, this is getting less fun. And at 50 minutes, it was like, it wouldn't hurt my feelings too much to finish in 10 minutes or so. So, again, personally, I'm no Sean McAfee. I'm not a big friend of the heat, or a big fan of the heat. That's some chunk. And that rigid fork with fat tires was perfectly fine on it. Oh, I know. I was like, why isn't my computer giving me my drink commands? Because I didn't hook up the phone today. We'll do that at the end. I didn't do my Wahoo app before the ride. So many buttons to push to get going with this stuff, particularly with the camera and everything. So I've got, when I have the app hooked up to it, and I thought it put the prompts just into the computer itself, but I guess it doesn't. I guess you have to have the app running. Every 20 minutes it tells me to drink. And then I think it's every hour and a half it tells me to eat. I think it's what I have programmed in there. It doesn't mean that I don't drink or eat at other times, but I make a point to be sure to do hydration and nutrition at those points as well. And yeah, I know. Plenty of y'all are going to tell me I'm doing it all wrong. That's fine. Everybody's different. I'm not implying what works for me is what should work for you. And you damn sure better not tell me what works for you is what should work for me. I'll live my life, you live your life. We can all be happy that way. 43 minutes in, and I can tell it's July in Texas, even if it's 9:30 in the morning. Getting my dose of vitamin D though, so that helps. So, like I said, this Rebel El Jefe is supposed to be my adventure slash multi-day platform. Most of it's tried and true. It's the same components and setup for the most part that I had on my Stella, but just moved over to this frame. Same bar, Thompson tie bar, which is really cool, with bar ends. Super wide bar that I never cut. I actually like the real estate on the bar to hang stuff, and it just, gives me the flexibility to just put my hands everywhere. Allows room for the aero bars. Morning. It allows for the aero bars, which are the Redshift quick disconnect bars, which I can move from bike to bike with. And I gotta figure out what I did with those, because I have another set of these that were on the Warbird, but I sold the Warbird. I know I took them off. And the question is, hypothetically speaking, is it, I guess, maybe from the comfort bars, the comfort sticks perspective, is there a valid reason to put aero bars or comfort bars on an e-bike? Please discuss in the comments below. Along those lines of that, man, that's the big issue with that tributary. What I'm talking about, all this real estate here to do stuff for hanging bags, equipment like this camera, whatever. That current tributary setup with the controls and screens that you need for the e-bike stuff, man, there's not much room to work with. It works fine for a daily rider, but for adventuring and bike packing or point to point carrying stuff, have to make some adjustments. So we're working through that. But yeah, this rig, yeah, there's no way right now with the knees, for example, I'm not carrying, I've got bags and stuff on here to carry the stuff I need, but there's no, this isn't carrying camping gear and true multi-day setup. My knees wouldn't be able to take that right now, throwing that much weight on here. But oh my God, putting this bike on the rack and taking it off the rack compared to that e-bike. And this isn't a light bike, it's 30 something pounds. But yeah, it was enjoyable not having to grunt and worry about hernias and all that good stuff. So I've touched on it before. Riding an e-bike and riding a, air quotes, regular bike, it's an apples and oranges experience. They're both fun in different ways. They're both enjoyable in different ways. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, just the ride I'm having today. I enjoy the non-e-bike assist aspect of riding a bike, but I definitely appreciate that I don't have the capability to ride as far or as fast as I prefer to at the moment, and the e-bike still lets me pick up some of that enjoyment. Again, the longer day in the saddle, the seeing more, and again, trying to maintain the heart rate, trying to maintain pressure on the knees, the going up a hill at 2 miles an hour and spending 15 minutes going uphill as opposed to just hitting the e-bike and getting up the same hill in 2 minutes at the same exertion. It's valid. He didn't announce that time. Morning. I think it's the same guy. We'll check in the video. Try guy with saddle bottles. Morning. Somebody finally said good morning. Let's see, all that high volume traffic made me miss my gravel section there. And so along those lines, so the other thing I'm missing right now, and I didn't really worry about too much because I knew I was going to be riding Trinity trails, but now I'm like, I wish I did have it. So my Varia mount, my radar mount, I must have moved from this bike to the Tributary. I didn't have my Varia mount. I wasn't too worried about it because I knew I was riding Trinity trails, and so I knew I wouldn't get run over by a car from behind. But it also works when people are closing on you on a bike. So I would get those heads up if a tri guy's coming up behind me, which would be a nice to have. All good? Maybe?
Yeah, I thought you were my buddy. You got a screwdriver on you?
I do.
Then I could use it. I thought my Allen wrench had a screwdriver on it.
Well, I say that. I think mine does. Let's double check. Phillips or Common?
Common.
Man, sweat just will not stop pouring into my right eye.
It's gotten a little steamy here in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Usually this hat keeps the sweat from coming in my face. I think I just need to clean it. It is driving me nuts.
Thank you, brother.
All good?
Appreciate it, man.
You're very
Keith.
Every now and then when I hit these vibrations, I think it was from yesterday, it works out.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day, guys. Hey, now we can make it back onto the gravel. Morning. Pro tip. If somebody says good morning, say good morning back to them. All right, so heart rate's still where we want it, so we're good. We're back on the dirt, so we're good. I'm gonna try something. So going back to today's theme, riding every day, get creative. Find a way to ride every day. I get it. If you're not in a position where you can roll out of the house, if that's not convenient for you, or if you're getting tired of it or whatever else, it's just find a way to take the bike or a bike with you everywhere you go. And you'll find new adventures. Morning. Oh, he's got that serious aero face shield thing going on. He can't say good morning. I'll be honest with you. And okay, maybe I haven't ridden out here on too many weekday mornings in the heat of summer. Oh, that's what I guarantee you. This is all the people getting ready for hotter than hell. That's what we're up against. This is all the folks getting ready for hotter than hell. Yes, sir. But what I was getting at is not that these people are rude or unfriendly. I'm not implying it like that. I get it. But I've rarely been riding these trails where people kind of just ignore each other, like the roadie scene, where maybe you get a barely perceptible nod, but like if you wave at them, don't get a wave back. So did they really nod, or were they just snorting up, get ready to hawk a loogie or something like that? Haven't run into that on the Trinity trails before. Is my phone ringing? Oh, it's a train over there. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, my phone is cowbell. Yep. We're just doing our heart rate, chugging along like we want to. I think looks like the truck's fine at the moment. I think the heat and humidity, because I guess you guys heard the other guys, so I wasn't the only one feeling the heat this morning. I think the heat itself is keeping the heart rate up. So it's not taking much exertion, which that's good. That's good. That helps me preserve the knees for tomorrow. Coming up on time for another sip of water. Need to do some mowing around here. That doesn't bode well for my adventure section I have in mind at the moment. We'll see. Maybe they've mowed that section and just not this. We'll see momentarily. Go ahead and get a drink, even though it's a couple minutes early. And definitely, no doubt about it, And this was taken into consideration on choosing whether we'd ride outdoors today or not without access to the e-bike. E-bike is a game changer when headwinds are involved. No doubt about it. So particularly if you're towards the end of the ride and feeling a little tuckered out and you make that swing into a 25-mile-an-hour headwind, a soul-crushing headwind, it's like, I've still got 10 miles to go and all the way in this headwind. I'll put it in sport mode and still plug along at 14, 15 miles an hour. I don't have to go fast, but I am one of those, if I'm going super slow, and it's not the exertion, it's hard to explain. I'm happy to put in the exertion level, but if I'm busting out 180 beats per minute and still only going 4 miles an hour, hey squirrel, that's not my idea of fun. I understand it's good, it's fantastic training. Texas hills. But if I've already met my training objective for the day, all right, let's get some motorized assist in the works. So I said that because I made that turn going this direction and there was a noticeable face breeze. I would not call it a headwind. It's perfectly fine. It's not worth bitching about at all. But it reminded me, because it's Texas, we damn sure have headwinds on a pretty regular basis. We're also testing the battery life of this camera today, I didn't touch on that before. Morning. I think he nodded. Heart rate got up a touch, a little bit of an incline into that face breeze. Dial it back a touch. What's going on over there? Huh. That looks like that's all tore up and closed, maybe? Probably. Missing plaque. Yeah, I don't see anywhere to go through. Morning. Good dogs. Good dogs. All right. Hour and 2 minutes into my first ride on this bike in forever. And a little bit of a slight twinge of rear discomfort, just a twinge, something to be cognizant of. But it could also be I'm just used to the other bike. That's new off to the left. If I was on the e-bike, I'd go charging up that hill right now. This is mode. Hey, we might be in business here. Let's see what we run into. Let's see what we run into. little adventure section over here. Gearing down. Yep. Hop onto a little bit of double track, a touch more resistance. It's flat though. Feeling this a little more in the knees. Not bad. Noticeable though. Ooh, we may even have a little bit of shade up here. That would be nice. And there's a high likelihood I'm just going to do this as an out and back. Because I can cross the river up here at downtown without having to go down the low water crossing and back up, but then I have to go do that one. And I think I'm stressing the knees enough as it is today. Better safe than sorry. A little bit of garbage. Definitely some shade. All right. Take it when you can find it. Not sure what that goes to on the left. Not going to find out today. Wow. And that's another thing. That was wasn't something I thought about going with that e-bike. But if you're just curious about, hey, where does that road go? Will this work, sort of thing? Or where does that trail go? I mean, the e-bike just gives you the freedom to not worry about hitting a dead end 10 miles down the road that you have to double back on. It's like, oh well, it was a dead end, no big deal. And again, I think, and you know, the discussion we're having today is actually kind of crystallizing this for me a little bit. I think for me, it's not the exertion levels, requirements that are the most beneficial to me for the e-bike. It's the time commitment. You know, I mean, obviously if you're planning to do a 2 or 3 hour ride and something goes wrong, it turns into a 5-hour ride. That can be a big deal, and if you're not trained up for 5 hours at a time. So you may not chase a random trail or a new road you come across or an unexpected intersection or whatever else. Whereas on the e-bike, it's a 15-minute detour, and I can adjust my exertion as much as I need to, sort of thing, even if everything goes sideways. So camera's starting to slip down a little bit again. I think we're going to adjust the camera. Looks like we're about to run out of shade too. We'll get up here to the top of this rise, adjust the camera one more time. That's probably a good spot to turn around and double back. I think this kind of dead. Oh, there's the mower over there. I think this kind of dead ends into the grass right up here anyway. I mean, where there's still beaten down grass trail, but not actual trail. And it looks like the mower's over there. Mowers might be right here. I hear noise. All right, so Might need to put some friction tape here because it's pretty cranked down and snug. So at least on this bike with the rigid fork, maybe a little bit of friction tape if that's going to end up being my mounting spot. Mic's still here, that's good. Hopefully the mic's still working. Light's still on, so that's good. This is not really a break, but hey, hour and 9 minutes in, stand up a little bit, wiggle the butt, wiggle the legs. What the hell, get a bonus swallow of water, it's hot out. Definitely hear the mower going over there. All right. Good times. I love riding my bike. Love riding this bike. Oh, I hate when that happens. So, I'm one of those, let's see if you can see this or not. I really hate to cut my straps on my bags because I do move them to different bikes. And you know, well, back to the e-bike, that's a good example. The down tube on that thing is so huge. I actually don't have enough strap on most of my bags to use them if it involves the down tube, and even some of the top tube if I remember right. So maybe there's a universal solution that I'm just an idiot and don't know about. But I would love it if bag manufacturers would just like put extra Velcro seal along the side of every bag, and if I've got overlap, I can just Velcro it up and it, like, anyway, just a thought. Also, automatically retracting pegs in flat pedals. Think about it, Redshift. All right, so heart rate's where we want it. Total time, an hour and 11. So it takes us 10-ish minutes to get back, maybe longer, that's fine. We're still going to be over an hour and 15. At the moment, a butt breeze instead of a face breeze. Not particularly noticeable, but better than the up direction was. It's a good day on the bicycle. Tomorrow, planning to do a 43 miler out of Collinsville that Elizabeth's putting together as a group social ride. My understanding is that group's rides are usually fairly fast and fairly hardcore. So I don't know that I'll be spending a bunch of time with the group, even on the e-bike. But showing up and riding from the same spot that another group's riding from that I am not caught up in handling logistics of, and where, you know, I'm just a participant. That's going to be a fun change of pace. I'm looking forward to that. And that's why the last couple days have been focused on that being the A ride for this week. May still do, we'll see how I feel after that. So like I said, the goal, I think, I'll have to look at the stats, but again, another cool thing about the e-bike, it keeps track of every mile you've done on the bike, there's no questioning where, so that really pays off for maintenance and stuff like that. But I think I've got like a total right at about 420 miles on that bike now, and the plan is to do a 500 miles on the Tributary overview and review and update and that sort of thing. So if I get 43 miles tomorrow, that takes us to like 460, 465, somewhere in that range. So 35 miles on Sunday. I'll officially have the 500 miles put in. I'll have a good training week in the books. More than definitely tomorrow I'm staying away from the heat acclimation. So I mean, the ride starts at 7 a.m. I should be done in 3.5 hours. Should be, unless something goes sideways. So I'll be ahead of most of the heat for the day tomorrow. And then if I do ride Sunday, it'll probably be along the same lines. Ride super early Sunday morning. Super early. And have a whole day with the dogs and the family. And start keeping track of notes for the 500 mile update. Okay, camera's still working, battery's still going. Oh man, this feels good. Feels good to be on a real bike. Love it. But I don't think it's a big negative at the moment. Here we go with the book. I'm ready for it this time. No suspension fork. Wouldn't call it pain, but yeah, I am noticing a tad more stress on the knees. But I mean, obviously fully to be expected. So we're gonna finish this one on a super casual spin, I do believe, even if it knocks our heart rate down a touch. Just kind of wind the knees out for the last couple minutes. Yep. Maybe one ride a week on this beautiful beast, but no more than that for a little while anyway. But holy shit, I like this bike, and I've hardly gotten any saddle time on it. It was so what had happened was I was riding a bunch, getting grasshopper. Getting that one jumped out at me. I was riding a bunch, getting in decent cardio shape, and just pushing through with my knees. And he didn't look like he wanted to say hello at all, so I didn't even try. I was actually kind of worried he was going to run right into me. That's one of those, if I'd have yelled out, that would have scared the shit out of me. He'd have looked right at me and plowed into me. I was getting in decent shape, and started getting some big plans for some multi-day stuff. Decided I definitely wanted my permanent multi-day plan.